Right now, as I am talking to you, I have 4 short-term rentals in 4 different states. Together, they bring in around $350,000 a year or so in revenue. It's the height of summer, my busiest season, and every single one of them is booked. And do you want to know how much time I will spend running all of it this week? Somewhere between 5 and 10 hours. That's it. Now, I want to be careful and honest with you because that's always been the whole point of this channel is radical transparency, telling you the truth. I am not going to tell you that it runs itself completely like magic while I sip a drink on a beach and never lift a finger. I mean, sometimes there are beaches and drinks, but that would be an exaggeration and you'd find out fast. But I will tell you the truth, which is almost as good. Done right with the right softwares, this business almost runs itself. Let me show you exactly what that means, the honest version, because it is genuinely the magic of this whole thing. Here's the way I think about it. Running a short-term rental is made up of 2 kinds of work. There's the repetitive stuff that happens the exact same way every single time, and then there's the judgment stuff that actually needs a human brain. The repetitive 90% is everything that follows a pattern, sending the same messages, setting the same temperatures, making the same lock codes, scheduling the same cleaners, asking for the same reviews, every guest, every time, the same steps. That is exactly the kind of work that software is spectacular at. And so I hand all of that over to my systems. The other 10%, the judgment calls or a really good question, a tricky guest, a maintenance decision, or a weird week in the calendar that needs some attention, that part I keep. And that's the part that actually needs me to run a good business. So when I say almost runs itself, that's what I mean. The machine does the 90% and I do the 10%. And that 10% is what fits into those 5 to 10 hours a week. So let me actually walk you through what's running in the background right now that I'm not having to work on and I'm off living my life making YouTube videos. Did you know almost all of these things are automated? Let's start with the calendar. I use a channel manager that syncs all of my listings across Airbnb, Vrbo, Booking.com, and my direct bookings from my own website in real time, so that the moment one platform books a night at one of my properties, it blocks that night everywhere else immediately. I have not manually managed a calendar or worried about a double booking ever. Then pricing. My nightly rates adjust automatically every single day based on demand, the day of the week, local events, how far out the booking is. I am not in there hand typing prices. A tool, a piece of software, is watching the market for me very specifically around my homes and moving my rates up when demand spikes and softening them when I need to fill a gap. Then the guest messages. From the second someone books, a whole sequence goes out on its own. The booking confirmation, the check-in instructions, a note the morning of arrival, a quiet mid-stay check just to make sure everything's going well, see if they need anything, the checkout reminder, and then the review request afterward. There are even special messages per property like winter driving directions for the top of a mountain, pool entry codes for my beach place, and then a note on how to equalize the thermostats for a particularly picky property. They all sound warm and personal because I did write them myself carefully, but only once and a long time ago. Now they just fire at the right moment to the right person without me. At the property itself, the smart locks generate a brand new code for each guest and send it to them automatically. They deactivate it on checkout. It's just part of my messages. The thermostats preset themselves to the right temperature a few hours before check-in so that guests walk into a comfortable house, but I don't pay for it otherwise. The cleaners are scheduled and paid automatically, all without me really having to worry about it. And here's one that got me this week. I have a digital guidebook that answers all the little repeat questions, the Wi-Fi passwords, and how the coffee maker works, the best taco place in town, all those kinds of things, so that guests really enjoy that, and they don't usually need to reach out. So this week, guests checked in, guests checked out, and I genuinely did not clock a single one. It all just hummed. Check out my latest AI video, by the way, for great ideas on how to do local guidebooks that are way better than your competition. And they'll send those guests back to your website to book direct for next time. Here's what really excites me, though, because I'm a bit of a nerd about this part. The software that runs this whole industry gets better every single year. Not a little, a lot. Every year there are new tools, new features, and smarter versions of the ones that I already use. Things that took me real effort a few years ago, like door locks, are now completely hands-off. The pricing tools are sharper. The messaging is smarter. Hosts get to decide how hands-on or hands-off that we want to be. Tasks that used to be mine keep quietly falling off my plate and getting absorbed by the machine, the software machine, when I want them to. So this is not a business that is standing still and demanding the same grind forever. It is one where the tools keep getting stronger around you without costing more usually, and your time keeps coming back to you year after year. The trend is going in our favor, and that's a really wonderful thing to have going for us. Now, I promised you the honest version, so here it is, and I am not going to walk something back that I so deeply believe. This business is not passive to set up. It's just not. Anyone who tells you it's effortless from day one is selling you a fantasy or maybe a long-term rental, and frankly, their homes won't book as well and they won't make as much money if they're looking for that quick setup. The only reason that mine almost runs itself now is that I did the work up front to build every one of these systems in the right order before a single guest ever arrived. I chose the tools, I connected them, I wrote the messages, I set the rules, I built the cleaning process, even a cleaning book, and I stocked and decorated the homes beautifully. That is real work, and it is the part that most people try to rush through to get something on the market. And when you rush through it, you just don't get a business that almost runs itself. You get a second job that might be running you, where you're answering every message by hand and chasing every cleaner and living on your phone with problems. I have watched people burn out that way, and it is so avoidable. The trade is simple, and it's a good one. You front load the effort, you build the machine once, and then the machine plus software that keeps improving pays you back with your time and with more bookings on more platforms for years. Not passive to build, almost hands-off to run, though. And that's the honest deal, and I would take it 100 times out of 100. So what do those 5 to 10 hours actually look like in peak season on a $350,000 business? Let me be specific, because I think this kind of transparency can help someone who's maybe deciding if they want to be in this business or not. This week, here are some of the things that I did. I reviewed a handful of new bookings because, well, that's just fun. I actually have an automated text set up that starts with, hey, guess what? We have a new booking. And I love to get those texts. It's a really fun ding to come in. And then it gives me the details of what property, how many people, revenues and dates, and how many guests. I answered a couple of questions from people who wanted to book in the future. I approved a small repair at a property with a text back to my handyman, and then I asked him to replace the batteries in the front door there. I reviewed my automated pacing study that AI does for me, and whoop, whoop, I'm running 30% ahead of last year's numbers, so that's amazing. But all of this keeps going in the background, and those are the only things that I did this week. So this week it was about 6 hours. Next week I'm planning to stop by my local rental and do some restocking because I'll be near there anyway, tubing the river. I also need to catch up on some financials logging. So those things will take me a few hours total, maybe 10 hours next week will be my total. That's the leverage. It just only takes 5 to 10 hours a week, no matter how busy I am. Your hours don't scale up and down based on the number of bookings you have. It all runs about the same, is what I can tell. The dream was never to quit one job and then buy myself a harder one. The dream for me was flexibility and great investments, so maybe it would be for you too. It's income that shows up while I'm living my life, and that way I just keep doing what I'm doing and have this wonderful business that I love so much working in the background. I'm famous for taking trips while I'm actually working this job. You'll see some of these videos in places that you don't recognize because of that. I don't have a staff to run things for me. Aside from the local cleaners and handymen, I'm a one-woman business, so that's real. I'm living it this summer. But and this is important, it only happens this well if the systems are built right from the start in the right order. Building those systems correctly, choosing the right tools, connecting them in the right order, and then setting them up so that your business almost runs itself instead of running you. Well, that's what I teach in STR JumpStart. My background is operations, so it's my favorite thing to get everything set up perfectly. There's a free workshop at strjumpstart.com that walks through how the business works, and it's a great place to start if you're thinking about short-term rentals. It's all at strjumpstart.com, linked below. And if you want the simple, honest, numbers first take on this business, subscribe and stick around, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks.